are without permanent municipal managers amid squabbles in councils. The head of Department for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Ben Bole.
We are worried about some of our MMs who are on suspensions. We are worried about positions that I've spoken to that are vacant. And it's a worrying factor to the MEC. That's why you'll always issue or rather encourage municipalities to can speedily fill these particular positions, because for municipalities to succeed, you must fill vacant positions, in particular of your senior management positions in any municipality.
MPs in South Sudan have voted to retain a law which rights groups say will embolden the country's security agency. The security agency is regularly accused of carrying out abuses. It has been using the bill as the basis for restricting freedom of association and assembly. The BBC's Will Ross has the details.
Human Rights Watch says the National Security Service is the South Sudanese government's preferred tool of repression. The campaign group argues that the agency has used a vague security law to establish what it calls a regime of censorship and surveillance. Security agents have been detaining government critics without needing a warrant. There have also been reports of torture. MPs in the capital Juba had been expected to revise the law to rein in the security service, especially after President Salva Kiir and Vice President Riek Machar agreed changes were needed in the interest of peace. But rights groups now say MPs have given a green light for the abuses to continue.
And finally, the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage, says a fundamental realignment of British politics is underway, with Labour in his party's sights. The Labour Party has officially won majority seats in the country's general elections. Farage elaborates.
There's no enthusiasm for Labour. There's no enthusiasm for Starmer whatsoever. In fact, about half of the vote is simply an anti-Conservative vote. This Labour government will be in trouble very, very quickly. We will now be targeting Labour votes. We're coming for Labour, be in no doubt about that.
Recapping the top story, 2 men have died in a car crash in Hillcrest, northwest of Durban. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays 9 a.m. till midday.
5 after 10 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the show. So coming up in this hour, we're going to be unpacking the electricity price increases that are set to affect Johannesburg in particular. We'll be talking then to the Senior Manager for Revenue Enhancement at City Power in the city of Johannesburg. Chris Yelland will join us for that conversation alongside Mervyn Abrams, who is with the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. I would also just like to hear from you about how you are being affected by these tariff increases, and if there are alternatives, right? What else do you think it is that the city could do? Of course, part of the reason that has been given for the increase is that it is to recoup infrastructure and service costs. But are there different ways in which the city could and perhaps should have approached this? And is the timing right? Is the timing of it all, is it the best possible time to be implementing such tariff increases? So that's the conversation we'll have over this hour. Lots of your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages. Sorry that I haven't even been able to get through not even a quarter of it, but I do just want to acknowledge all those of you that have sent through your WhatsApp voice notes and your text messages. All right, let's play a couple of voice notes and then we'll get into our conversation for this hour.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Morning, Kitty. Regarding the Olympics, before we get excited about the athletes and everything that has to do with the Olympics, we must also remember what happens to these people after they perform. We've now seen what happened to the late Jacques Freitag, a former champion in high jump. Our youngsters are being slaughtered every day in this country with very little support. We need to support these people after the events and really look after them. So that they gone by in this country where we don't hear about a youngster being dug up in a grave or something. As a father who has children, my heart bleeds for them. Bleeds at Cape Town.
Good morning, Cathy. Now, I don't understand why people say those who are decrying a bloated cabinet are being disingenuous. We do not even have more than 20 political parties in the National Assembly. Now, if we were to accommodate all of them, we would not even get to 30 ministries in terms of ministerial positions. And I do believe that the GNU has about, 11 political parties in it. So I don't understand when it comes to accommodating all political parties and everybody else. This cabinet is bloated. Finish and clear.
Cathy, hi. Electricity. This is just the beginning. We are still going to pay more because we have illegal connections almost everywhere in South Africa. And aus Cathy, it's this thing happening in front of our eyes. Where are those which are in charge and rip off those illegal connections? And the sad thing is that when South Africans are talking, this Helen Suzman Day, they will say human rights. Human rights where? Whereby you are breaking the law. Scosan in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Hi, Cathy, and all the listeners. This problem of electricity and all those government people who are being paid, their services are being paid by government and yet they are getting high salaries. Why are they not paying for the underprivileged people than to pay for the people who are getting paid high salaries? Thank you.
Hi, this is Cathy. This is Cathy Kwenda here. Cathy, I don't have a problem with the expansion of the ministers and all that, the cabinet. The problem comes when you go above the budget. So if the Ramaphosa, the president, was really wanting to save cost and all that, it was like he was going to say, okay, fine, let's distribute the positions along every party, but the budget, we stick to the budget. Then they divide the current budget or they minimize it to the number of ministers. That means that will cause an impact on their salaries. So everyone must accept that we're no longer going to get the 100,000. Some of us will run around 70, 80, which is reasonable, because we are the one paying it and suffering for it. Thank you.
Good morning, Cathy. This is Sami. We can complain all we want about ministers and how they're not performing, other public representatives, public office bearers. And I'm saying the only thing that's going to sort out this whole mess is if we can campaign to have these people start earning a performance-based salaries. Maybe we can start protests, petitions, and lodge court actions and so on. That will force these people to start earning performance-based salaries. If they start earning performance-based salaries, that's when they'll start doing their job, because they'll know that if they don't work, then they don't eat. They won't earn any money at the end of the month.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen. Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
While the National Energy Regulator has given municipalities the green light to continue with tariff increases, this is pending the outcome of its appeal to a recent court ruling. Gauteng High Court recently ruled in favor of AfriForum. This is to prevent an increase in electricity tariffs due to outstanding documents. AfriForum says that its court application has been largely aimed at giving consumers a better understanding of what exactly it is that they are paying for when buying electricity. Joining us for this hour is Ngobani Mzizi, who is the Senior Manager, Revenue Enhancement at City Power. Ngobani, good morning.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to the listeners.
Mervyn Abrams is the Program Coordinator at the Peter Maritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Mervyn, good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to all your listeners.
And Chris Yelland is an energy expert. Chris, good morning to you.
Hi, morning, Cathy, and good morning, listeners.
I'm going to kick it off in studio. Ngobani, I imagine that you are the person that has to take all the flack for the anger, the outrage that many residents are feeling right now with this increase in tariffs. But perhaps to start it off with setting a context for us, if you can try and explain the current cost structure that City Power is dealing with and what it is that has necessitated this increase of 200 Rand per month, in particular for prepaid customers, on top of what would be the annual adjustments.
So thank you, Cathy, for the question, and we are grateful for the opportunity to come and clarify this. The cost structure, before I speak to the prepaid element of this, is that customers would pay for consumption, and that is based on your usage, which we meter using our devices, which are mainly smart. So for your consumption, there's a unit price that you'll pay for every kilowatt hour. Second to that, you will then pay a service fee. A service fee is a fixed fee that goes to contribute towards the fixed fees or fixed costs or overheads of running an enterprise like ours. And then lastly, there is a component that is called the capacity charge, which we also call the network charge. And that component is a component that is directed towards maintenance of the infrastructure as well as upgrade of the infrastructure. So that is how the structure of our tariffs are. So then coming to prepaid historically have not been contributing to the last two parts. Prepaid has only been paying for consumption. So they were not contributing their equitable share for service fee as well as for network or capacity charge. As it has been communicated yesterday through the media release by the mayor, since 2018 we applied, we got approval from the regulator to say you can incorporate this to your prepaid customers. However, we did not put it in right up until this very moment that we have done it. And the reason why everybody must contribute to those two charges, if I may add, everybody benefits in the same way. Prepaid customers do get the service that other people who are contributing get. They do get the same energy coming to their meter boxes, to their properties, to their houses in the same way that everyone gets. However, they were not contributing to that. And in seeing a large increase of people migrating or customers migrating to the prepaid tariff, the base of these two costs has been decreasing, and we said now we really need to implement it because it is becoming unaffordable for us to do the maintenance because of that little fraction of money that we are not able to collect from them because of the structure in its current form. So that's what necessitated us to change the structure to incorporate for them to pay what everybody is equitably contributing towards that.
When we look at the customer base in the city, how many prepaid users do we have?
So the prepaid users we have, give or take, around 200,000. Okay, and in that 200,000+, we have those which are indigent, and indigent, as the name suggests, it's those at the lower end of our economic ability within the city of Joburg, and then we have those that are those that could afford to pay, or rather, let me say those that are not indigent. Okay, so in those two broad categories of people within that 200,000. We are catering for those who are indigent, and then for those then who are affluent, if I can say so, or those who are not indigent and can afford to pay that service fee.
So then, how many are classified as indigent?
Well, at the moment in our books, we have around, I think it's around 10,000, close to 11,000 that we have that have registered as indigent. So it's about 10,900, close to 11,000. Those are the ones as at the end of June who have registered and applied to be indigent and qualified to be on the prepaid low tariff.
And by the way, just to understand that if you're indigent, of course, you have an income less than 6,000?
6,000 rands and pensioners,
okay.
Yep.
Okay. Only 11,000?
Only 11,000 who have applied. There's a criteria you have to apply because we don't know who is indigent. You have to bring yourself forward, give us the documents to prove that your indigent status, and then only then will you be classified as indigent.
And what is your total customer base then?
As a city of Johannesburg?
Yes.
It's around 350,000.
350,000.
Yeah, not domestic, just total customer base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. 350,000. Okay. So basically, the bulk of your customers now are on prepaid.
Residential and prepaid, correct.
Okay. We have had quite a lot of concerns that have been expressed around this increase in tariffs. Number one, many people were caught off guard by it. It was unexpected. Number two, there is still a feeling that it is largely unjustified. That, effectively, City Power is trying to get additional funds to fund its infrastructure maladministration, and without adequately dealing with those issues, then passing it on to the customer, because the tariff increases annually, and that tariff is also supposed to cover infrastructure maintenance, etc.
Well, not necessarily. The tariff increase is mainly geared to cover the cost of providing the service that we provide. So maybe just to give you some background, and of course in your introductory remarks, and you spoke about what AfriForum is doing, I'll try and explain that and how that speaks to our space. When you make an application to the regulator, you give them your cost of supply study. So you say, this is how much it will cost me to run this business. Remember, businesses like ours, which are service-driven government entities, we are not there to make a profit. We are there to provide an essential service, and a service that we are constitutionally mandated to supply. So the regulator is there to protect the customers or the end users. So when we make an application, we provide them with a cost of supply study. And when we do a cost of supply study, we say this is how much it will cost us to run the municipality. This is how much it will cost us to maintain the infrastructure, as well as a contribution by the users of our service towards the fixed fees which are raised by the service charge. So in that, it does not necessarily or entirely incorporate the cost of not maintenance but upgrades and all of that. So it is through the network charge, capacity charge, where we raise that money to do the maintenance of the network and sorts. So with those three components, that is where this should come from. And yes, the aggravation from the customers or the users of our service, as it were, justified as it may be, the nature of our business, not only limited to City Power, all electricity entities are experiencing the same thing, because this is how we raise our money. And then the inevitable concomitants of being in the business that we're in, which include bypass, tampering, illegal connections, are not only limited to us, so as well as the inability to collect, because that is one of the other things that you mentioned, and that's what they're struggling, that's what they're raising. Indeed, those things will always be there, but with that aside, it's also factored into the increases. So the regulator is aware of that. We provide all the evidence, and it is then, once we've provided them and furnished them with all that they've requested, where they then say, okay, we agree to the 12.72%.
Chris Yelland, let me bring you in here. You understand these things a lot more than I do. Is this increase justifiable?
No, it's not justifiable. It is completely unjustified to put up your prices, your electricity prices, to the poorest people in the community, customers that use between 200 to 400 kilowatt hours per month, by 6 to 12 times the inflation rate. If you are a customer that is using 200 kilowatt hours per month, and that puts you at really close to the bottom end. This is really what the average indigent customer uses. Their price increase from the 1st of July amounts to 60%. It is completely unjustified and is going to become a source of social unrest, in my view. And I must say, I'm really shocked when Ngubane says that only 10 to 11,000 people are registered on the city's indigent register, because National Treasury provides money for free basic electricity to City Power for 950,000 indigent households. The City of Johannesburg's own data to Stats SA indicates that there are 670,000 indigent households. This is City Power's own data to Stats SA, and in fact, the deforms. It's just absurd that only 10,000 households are registered. It's quite clear that what is happening is that the City of Johannesburg and City Power are misappropriating billions of rands that are provided by National Treasury for the purpose of free basic electricity to indigent households. And the City of Power is only distributing that money to 10,000 households when they are receiving money from National Treasury for 900,000 households. So I think there's a serious problem going on here, and it's absolutely unjustified to put up the prices to the poor, 6 to 12 times the inflation rate.
When we think about alternatives, Chris, in terms of what City Power says this money is for, are there different ways in which they could have looked at this cost structure, especially because if we are to look at what is being said currently, this is the first of many increases that are yet to come.
Yeah, look, I must say that this problem that we see with the price increases of electricity, this problem that we see where City Power Johannesburg owes Eskom something like 3 billion rand and is taken to court, and there's a court order for Eskom, for City Power to pay Eskom, and then City Power promptly takes it on appeal, etc. These are just symptoms of a much bigger problem that is facing not just City Power, but the entire municipal electricity sector in South Africa. This is a much wider issue, and it gets to the political and financial dysfunctionality in respect of the management and funding of municipal service delivery obligations. And the Presidency and National Treasury, COGTA, the DMRE and NERSA and SALGA cannot seem to get their heads around the big picture and the root causes. They can't even get their head around the symptoms, like the growing arrear debt of municipal electricity distributors to Eskom. Municipalities are failing to deliver public services. There's this misappropriation of billions of rands each year by municipalities that is meant for poverty relief, such as free basic electricity. And National Treasury's debt relief initiative to write off municipal arrear debt to Eskom appears to have collapsed as municipalities fail or are unable to meet their side of the arrangement. So outwardly, it appears that National Treasury is just looking away or burying their heads in the sand. And something is going to snap one of these days unless these issues are faced head on. And it's not just about better communication and marketing and putting on a price increase to the poorest of the poor. One has to have credible policies, strategies, and solutions and action plans. And I can't see that these are in place. Thank you.
Mervyn Abrahams, let me come to you. You, of course, track the cost of living, and what we have heard in the last week since this tariff increase has come to effect are the stories of residents who would sometimes buy electricity for 400 Rand a month, for 500 Rand a month, who now have only received half of the value that they would have anticipated and are unsure about how it is that they're going to get through the month when it comes to their power supply.
Yes. I would like to agree with what Chris has just said in terms of how the impact of this increases on poor households. I mean, I find it quite interesting that City Power has they qualify as the indigent. We had heard 6,000 Rand or less, because that would actually include all people working in South Africa and earning at the level of the national minimum wage. So if I could just paint a picture. So if you look at the national minimum wage, for instance, then for the month of June, that would have brought in something in the region of about 4,500 Rand. According to our research of households living within poor areas within the city of Johannesburg, they would say that those workers spend roughly about 1,500 Rand on transport and roughly about 350 kilowatt on electricity, which costs them something like 906 Rand. So it's about 21, almost 22% of a national minimum wage. Now, any increases above that has to be consumed in terms of their budget by cutting back on other expenses. So they would either have to cut back on transport, or they have to cut back on food, or they have to cut back on rental costs, etc. And so we are in a situation now where households, even those who are working and earning at the level of a national minimum wage, find it absolutely impossible from an affordability point of view to pay any higher costs. I mean, we have already seen, for instance, that women who get a child support grant are saying that a major part of the child support grant are now going towards paying for prepaid electricity. So essentially, these increases are being put on people who cannot afford to pay. And so I am not surprised that so many people connect illegally to the electricity system, because the only other alternative is really just to disconnect themselves from electricity with all the difficulty that it goes. So they just cannot afford it.
We're going to continue this conversation in a moment. I'll, of course, also be taking your calls on 086 000 2032. It's 10:30, time for the latest news headlines.
Good morning. In the headlines, an intelligence-driven operation led by the Police Special Task Force Unit have rescued a second Portuguese businessman, this time from the Nansfield hostel in Soweto, where he was being held captive. A 19-year-old suspect charged with allegedly assaulting his grandmother is expected to appear at the Kells River Magistrates Court in Cape Town this morning. A video of the incident has gone viral on social media, leading to the accused's arrest. And 2 men have died in a car crash in Hillcrest, northwest of Durban. I'll have details on these and other stories at 11.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 18 Rand 41 to the dollar, 23 Rand 47 to the pound, and 19 Rand 87 to the euro. Markets in Asia were mainly higher at the closing bell. The JSE positive in mid-morning trade, and markets in Europe have extended gains. Gold is trading at $2,357, platinum $1,010 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $86.55 a barrel.
The world's best cooking show is coming to S3. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma uphumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Starts Saturday 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on S3, Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
In South Africa, 1 in 5 children under the age of 13 is overweight or obese. Sign a petition to demand strong warning labels on unhealthy packaged food. And don't forget to catch the next episode of Chew on This at healer.org on Thursday, 27 June from 3 p.m. Young people tell us how big food companies are feeding them lies.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
An unfit, unhealthy workforce, as we said at the beginning, equates to, non-productivity in the workplace.
Correct. And I think, everybody sees it. Quite a number of organizations are going through some tough times right now. And, with all of that needs individuals that come into the space who are clear and are innovative and can share ideas. We're living in a world where we're going through exponential growth, right? So what you saw last week, 2 weeks from now, it's tripled in terms of its impact. So organizations really are looking for individuals that are able to tune in so that they can become innovative, they can share ideas, we can come up with solutions that better the livelihoods of our clients and customers.
Tatu Morobane, who's the Chief Operating Officer at Giving Wings.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, we continue the conversation on the Talking Point. We're looking at the latest increase in electricity prices in the city of Johannesburg, mostly implemented by City Power. Of course, this is in addition to the annual increases that we would have experienced across the board in the country in different municipalities, those also being approved by NERS. I think that's to the tune of 12%. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So this then is the additional cost that City Power has brought in to that. So Ngobani, you've heard, or rather, let me just give you a sense of who we've got on the line. Ngobani Mzizi is the Senior Manager, Revenue Enhancement at City Power. Mervyn Abrams, Program Coordinator at the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. And Chris Yelland is an energy expert. So Ngobani, you heard there the reflections of Chris and of Mervyn. Chris says that these increases are completely unjustified. And I mean, I have to agree with him on the issue of indigent household. I think you saw just how shocked I was when you said that there were only 11,000 people that were registered on City Power's list of indigent households. That just does not sound correct at all.
All right, so let me start with that one before I go into the other issues that Chris raised. So as a control measure, we implore all our customers to come and renew their indigent status every 6 months. And the reason for that is quite simple. I'll explain, Cathy. By natural attrition, somebody who is a customer of ours may be let me start like this. A customer who is benefiting, maybe is a pensioner or whatever status, 6,000 rands, their status either may change within 6 months, firstly, or by natural attrition, they could pass on, right? So the benefit that accrues to a particular person. So if that person who is a customer of City Power is no longer a customer and that passes over to someone else, it may pass over to someone who is not indigent and therefore may not qualify. And that's why we ask them to come and renew every month. Indeed, the number may be even higher than those that are registered, and understandably so. However, it is maybe the customers who do not come over and do their own registration. To Chris's point, when he speaks about the 950...
Okay, before you move on, it also doesn't sound like City Power is necessarily trying to go out to find people and register them on the indigent list, because, again, we know that some of these issues around access are not necessarily about people not wanting to come forward, but it's about the access to the information and also being able to participate in such processes.
So we have 7 regional offices throughout Johannesburg, and they're strategically positioned to touch every customer, right, throughout the city, region A to region F. And it is at those regional offices that customers go and register. They need not come to City Power premises. We are fed that information around indigent customers from the regional offices, and that is the effort that the city of Johannesburg is doing. Through the regional offices, through the councillors within the region, that information is disseminated. This is not something that is new. It's always been done like this. Okay, so when they register there, then the information filters to us. And when I speak about the 11,000, maybe just to qualify this, it is those who are on prepaid. Remember, there are those as well who are indigent who also benefit from rates, right, where they get rates rebates. They also can also benefit from the other conventionally metered electricity supplies. So I'm only limiting this to the prepaid customers, this 11,000. So the benefit that Chris speaks about or the number of 950 that Chris speaks about, that National Treasury has identified in Joburg, it's not necessarily 950,000 electricity users. It's probably 950,000 residents of the approximate 5 to 6 million residents within the city of Johannesburg. So if National Treasury has done a study that informs them that almost 1 million people within the COJ are indigent, they make that allocation to the city, and I would imagine that the city would then say, throughout all the services where our residents benefit, how do we disperse this for the benefit of those who are indigent throughout water, electricity rates, etc., etc. So it is not that we are taking from the 950 allocation from National Treasury and only benefiting 11,000 and pocketing the rest. That is far from the truth.
So if I understand you correctly, Obani, you are saying that as far as City Power is concerned, yes, you will have a service delivery protests, as you often do, people complaining about the cost of electricity. You are saying that even when you're responding to concerns of communities, you then don't make it your business to seek out who amongst these members of the community would actually qualify to not pay for electricity and be classified as indigent?
So everybody must pay, Cathy. Maybe just to qualify that comment. It's just that they will not pay the service fee. Okay, so in the midst of those protests, which are not hypothetical but are real, as I say, with the regional offices, with the community engagements, when we do send stakeholder representatives to engage with the communities, if the protest is got to do with electricity, such information is shared with them to say, do come through, register for indigent, so that you can benefit from our indigent benefits or our indigent allowances. I think, Cathy, you would know better than anyone here, since you maybe engage and are in touch with all of these protests. Sometimes it's even hard to engage meaningfully with such, and maybe some messages may fall through the cracks. But through the various media, media programs that we do and engagement programs that we do, I mean, the city has got a whole lot of things that it will communicate to the people about, electricity being just but one part of the many other things. So we definitely do engage with them. Insofar as making the effort, as I say, it is through such means. The efforts, the councillors are there, they do inform their constituents of such. As to whether people do it or not, I mean, really it is beyond our ability to do such, because the touch point to the community for us are our councillors, who will then be able to inform them.
Where do you have the highest concentration of prepaid customers?
Well, at this point, it's strewn throughout the entire city of Johannesburg. So originally, it was in the previous RDP or low-income areas, right? I mean, they're no longer low-income anymore. If you see how they're built, I mean, I guess there's a mix between the people who are there. And even in the suburbs, right here where we are sitting in Auckland Park, there is quite a high number of customers who are on prepaid. So they are all over. I can't say that there's more that side or more in any other side. How I can classify it, though, for you is that throughout the entire customer base, it's about 50-50 between affluent and non-affluent, because that is how we have categorized them.
Chris made a point around the difficulties when it comes to monies owed to Eskom and just overall failures when it comes to revenue collection. Are the prepaid users the low-hanging fruit in terms of making up for the deficit when it comes to revenue collection with your other customers? Because obviously this is money that you get to make up quickly. If I am using a prepaid meter, I don't have the luxury sometimes of having a bill that runs up to 100,000 that I'm still switched on, I still have electricity, and sometimes people enter into payment arrangements, sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're not cut off. Instead, when they are cut off, it's through a drive. And City Power says, no, we cut this individual off. They owed 340,000. And the rest of us are thinking, oh, we didn't know that your bill could even get to 340,000.
Well, look, you see, maybe Cathy, if I can just clarify this part. The prepaid customers in and of themselves, as well as those who are at the bottom end of the spectrum, those who really should be benefiting from this and are not, we have come to realize and understand that, not even understand, but realize and see and experience that they are the ones who are bypassing in most parts. So, I mean, even with those protests, we can inform them to go and register for the indigent tariff and all of that, but they're the ones who are bypassing, they're the ones who are tampering, they're the ones who are mainly stealing. So, in as much as, yes, it may be said by Mervyn, it may be said by Chris, that this is affecting those who are at the lower end, we have understood, we have realized and experienced that bulk of the bypasses is there with them. So it is not that we are disenfranchising them by doing this. Equally so with them, as I said, all those who are at that level of indigence, they're the ones who can go and should go. The benefit is there for them. We do not say you cannot benefit. You can benefit. It's just you who is not coming forward. And again, as I say, it's because they in the main they are stealing. From a legal perspective, all that which we said before the break, that is how it should be. But the truth of the matter is that that's where we're experiencing the bulk of our problems.
Chris, is this a way of solving an issue such as the bridging of electricity, as Ngobani is saying, and that the very constituency that you are talking about is in fact the constituency that steals the most electricity, as according to him?
Cathy, I want to just say clearly that you cannot get blood out of a stone. When people don't have the money, they don't have it. And as was pointed out by Mervyn, if you're going to be faced with, if you're an indigent household that is not on the indigent register, that is the vast majority of indigent households are not on the indigent register. If you're an indigent household that suddenly has to pay an extra 230 Rand a month, you're going to have to take that money out of your budget, which would otherwise be for transport or food or whatever. That is the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to point I want to make is that Ngubane has, I think, fudged the question about how many people are on prepayment meters and how many of those are within certain income. And he's kind of tried to paint the picture that there's an even spread of prepayment meters, in the city, spread between affluent and indigent households. Of course, that is not true. Everybody knows that the majority, I'm not saying all, but the majority of prepayment meters are found in black townships, informal settlements, and shacks where, there has been a mass electrification. That is where the majority of these are. And that is where this 230 Rand rate, the majority of people are going to be hit, are in black townships, informal settlements, and shack dwellings. So I think we've got to address the bigger picture. It's no good thinking you can just slap 230 Rand on prepayment meter users and solve City of Johannesburg's financial problems. It's not going to work because you cannot get blood out of a stone. We have to start looking at the big picture, how municipalities are funded for their service delivery obligations by National Treasury. This is a big picture government issue that needs to be dealt with by presidency, by National Treasury, by COGTA, by DMRE, which is now, of course, the Department of Energy and Electricity, and by Selga. At the moment, they are burying their heads in the sand and pretending this problem doesn't exist. And putting 230 Rands a month on prepayment users, the poorest of the poor, is not going to help.
Mervyn, one wonders again, with sort of an increase in the use of alternative electricity sources, if an entity like City Power is not making up for a decrease in the use of its own electricity by trying to secure itself a future customer base.
Yes, Cathy.
Sorry, Mervyn.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, you go ahead, Mervyn,
Go ahead,
please.
Chris. Okay.
No, I would like to.
No, I mean, yeah, I would
You.
like to agree with what Chris is saying. We are dealing here with a much bigger problem. And the bigger problem really is, how do we provide affordable energy, be it electricity, be it solar panels, be it other forms? How do we provide affordable energy to households in South Africa where the incomes are extremely low? And just increasing, as Gubani was saying, this is the cost, and so we just pass on the cost, is not actually resolving any problem, because this is part of a larger economic issue. I mean, one could argue that that if electricity increases by 12%, then really the national minimum wage should also increase by 12%. Etc. And then we get into the big world of inflation and how wages drive inflation, etc. So we have to actually go back to the drawing board, and we have to ask ourselves the question: how do we provide energy to households that is affordable, and where households in fact can pay? Because what we have in this situation is we have electricity is absolutely unaffordable. I've mentioned for an ordinary household, it will come to something like 22% of the income. That is without this increase. So what you are actually forcing people into options that you do not want, those options being tampering. So we really do need to look at other forms, and how do we make this more affordable to households? Without that, we are always going to sit with this problem.
All right, Chris, I think you wanted to come in on the question of the deficit that City Power may be facing from its revenue due to the alternative sources of power that residents have turned to.
Yeah, despite the fact that City Power and the city of Johannesburg misappropriate billions of rands per year that are intended for poverty relief measures for the poor, despite all of that, despite these 230 rand price increases, which are going to have absolutely no impact on the city's finances, I can assure you. Despite all of this, the city operates at a deficit of 10%, actually just over 10%. And therefore, electricity for the city is a loss-making issue. Now, it would be tempting to say, oh, well, you must just put up the prices. But anyone who believes that the city is operating an efficient and well-managed electricity distributor, I think is living in another world. There are significant benefits that can be had by improved management, improved technology, and reducing non-technical losses in various ways by looking at this thing holistically. In the end, we know that electricity distribution to the poor is not a profitable or even a break-even kind of a business. It has to be subsidized by government, and also cross-subsidized by wealthier consumers and business and industry, cross-subsidizing smaller and indigent users. That is how Eskom deal with it. They use their large customers to cross-subsidize their customers that are on prepayment tariffs. That is why Eskom's prepayment electricity tariffs are dramatically, and I mean dramatically, lower than those of City Power. Cost reflectivity in tariffs for the poor is a non-starter. Other models need to be put in place to cross-subsidize indigent and poor households by wealthier households and by central government. And the answer is not to misappropriate the money.
Okay. Chris, thanks for that contribution. I also want to bring in the contribution of our listeners.
Sorry, could I
this
just
morning.
also say...
Mervyn, very briefly for me, please. I've got listeners that are waiting to come on. Go for it.
And it's necessary, as Chris was saying, that there be cross-subsidization, etc., and that government supports, because electricity is a multiplier that actually provides other social benefits to households and to communities as well.
Okay, thanks for that.
So there's
Mervyn.
important reason for doing that.
Sure. Noel, you're calling us from Mpumalanga. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Cathy, and morning to your guests and the listeners. Cathy?
Yes.
When we obtained our freedom in 1994, it was not for the small elite to benefit over the entire population. Now, I wonder where these city power people live, because cost of living is very high, and we have a high rate of unemployment. And then as they put in the $200 over and above what I buy for my electricity, I spend most of my time in Cosmo City. Now, what is it that they suggest? Because according to the figures the gentleman gave you, they're making close to 70 million rand extra out of the $200. Now, what is it for? Is it that they want to make money while they still exist as an agency of the city? Because they are an agency. They are not actually the ones who are providing, but they are managing electricity. I find it to be very, very, very much unfair to the citizens of this country. Remember, we only have one South Africa. We don't have two, whereby we have the city of Johannesburg being a country on its own, and then the rest of South Africa. So are they suggesting that all other cities should follow suit? Now, where will we be?
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
No, thanks for that. Stephanie, you are in Rivoli. Good morning.
Morning, Kathy. Kathy, I bought electricity at the beginning of the month for 500 Rand. My previous 500 Rand got me 207 units. This month, I got 99.9 units. The guy from City Power is telling us about indigent. It doesn't work, Kathy. They promise you 30 units free every month if you're an indigent. You don't get it. And if you ask, they tell you, oh, you're not the only one that gets it, that doesn't get it. You go to Braamfontein, you sit there the whole day and deal with the rude people that work in their centers there. So indigence doesn't work. On top of that, they're sending me final notices for a 7,000 Rand electricity bill, but I'm on prepaid. So you must explain that to us. They're ripping us off. They stole the money. Other people are not paying, and they're punishing us. Thank you, Kathy.
All right, Stephanie, let me get Ngobani to respond to that issue more specifically.
All right, thank you, Kathy. So, if Stephanie is certainly indigent, she should go, as I've said, the doors are open. So maybe she
said she's gone to Braamfontein.
Well, I mean, if she lives in Rivoli, she can go to Roodepoort because Roodepoort is closer to Rivoli. I'm not saying that she should avoid Braamfontein because of what she's mentioned. I can't speak for her experience, but the closest one she can go to is Roodepoort. But be that as it may, maybe she used to get the 30, but given what I said, that you need to renew every 6 months, maybe her 6 months has expired and you have to renew it because, as I said, what if your status of indigency changes due to maybe getting a job opportunity or a job or the other reason that I mentioned of attrition. So yes, and around the 500 giving you 207 kilowatt hours or 87 vis-a-vis the 99, it is due to the 200 kilowatt hours and her not 200 Rand, service fee plus VAT, but it's due to her not having herself registered as indigent. What she is facing is what everybody on prepaid and is on prepaid high is experiencing as well, where when you buy, a portion of it goes towards the service fee before you get the units. So that is how the system is configured. The moment I buy, half of it goes towards a service fee, or at least half. If half is above, if half takes me to 200, then the entire fee is taken. Then the rest goes towards the unit. So that is what she has experienced, which is what I too have experienced.
And how would you explain her getting a notice on of a 7,000 rand electricity bill when she's actually on prepaid?
So City of Johannesburg customers get a bill which has all 5 services. Maybe on that bill, I cannot speak for it unless I could see it before me, but maybe the bill that she gets includes all the other services, which is water, refuse, sewerage, and rates. So it could be that bill. Electricity, if she's on prepaid, it will definitely not be on that bill. It should not be on that bill. So maybe it's a bill that has all the other services, because people generally think that a bill is just an electricity bill, whereas it incorporates all the other services of the city of Johannesburg. And with your permission, Cathy, if I can just speak to what Mr. Yellen said and what Merv said, just on a few things, right? So with regards to the cost being that, I mean, the cost driver for electricity is the purchase price that we buy from Eskom. It is not that we wish to have the electricity be as high as it is. It is not our doing. It is the cost of buying it. And yes, I think if there's one point that we can all agree to is that maybe government could do more to subsidize electricity. I cannot speak on how far their allowance or their subsidies have gone, or if they still have the latitude to do that. But what is it that is expected of us then as users of energy, the ones who are feeling this pinch? As with everybody, you ration out what you can and cannot do with what you have. So as much as we manage our budgets and how far we go and the things we do, we cut other services like, for example, your cable TV, your internet, and whatever the case might be. You should also ration how you use your electricity supply, because that too in and of itself is a significant cost in the budgets of people. As Mervyn has said from his studies, around 21-22% of the disposable income of those at the lower end. It means that they should manage their usage, and that's what it should boil down to, because what is right now is not going to change. It's just going to be difficult, as it is for everyone, not just for those people, but the entire country is stretched. It's the current economic climate, and we are not oblivious to that fact, nor insensitive to it, but we just need to make sure that we're able to find each other and work together.
Yeah, you're asking people to use electricity sparingly in a context where they already were, right? That's what Mervyn is saying, is that many of these households already were.
Well,
if I'm spending 900 rand on electricity per month, and 200 rand of that now no longer goes towards my electricity.
The example that Mervyn made and the figures that he gave are excellent figures for our provision or our allowance of indigent. The ones that he made, he said those who earn 4,300 and not the 6,000 of Joburg, those are the people that we want within the city of Joburg to go and apply for the indigency, and they won't pay the 600, the 200, and they will pay a cheaper rate on the prepaid low.
But we already know that you're not exactly going out there to find them. You're not exactly going from house to house saying, look, if you qualify, here we are, let's sign you up to be part of the indigent in the city. I'm
thankful that we are in the studio because the message can disseminate, but beyond that, we do have the regional offices and we communicate.
No. That can't be good enough. It can't be good enough that you say the message must disseminate.
No,
we don't reach the majority of your customers. You are the ones that deals with these customers. And the point here, and it really is about the issue of empathy and being able to understand what the living conditions of the people in the city are. So it is not enough to say that we have 7 offices in these areas, people can just go and apply. When in fact what we know is that a lot of people could well not even know that this is something that is available and accessible to them.
A lot of people have access to our councillors who know this information. We use social media platforms, we use local radio stations.
How many people participated in the local government election, Mervyn? Ngobani.
How many I don't have that.
Exactly. So look at the participation rate at a local government level before we talk about the reach of councillors at a local level.
Is there a correlation between them applying for indigent and voting?
Absolutely. Well, yes, absolutely. Because even the numbers show, right? Chris, come in.
Can I also say, it's Mervyn, now this is not a case around City Power. So, but I have stood with pensioners trying to register as indigent in municipalities in KZN. And just the trouble that people have to go through, the process of indignity that people have to go through in order to get it. And I mean, even just the terminology of indigent is a sign that our state has not taken to heart the whole process of dignity. So I can understand why there are so little people, because the process to get onto that list is so tiresome, so difficult, and you get pushed from corner to corner within municipalities that people just give up.
Mervyn, we're going to have to leave it there. Chris Ngobane, let me thank you all for your time. It's time for the latest news.
Thank you.
In our top stories, another kidnapped businessman rescued and Durban car crash claims 2 lives. Good morning. An intelligence-driven operation led by the Police Special Task Force Unit have rescued a second Portuguese businessman, this time from the Nansfield hostel in Soweto, where he was being held captive. The man was kidnapped last week at Southgate Mall and a ransom demand was made to his family. A sting operation was executed and 2 suspects who are believed to be the drivers of the getaway vehicle were arrested. The team then found the victim tied up and guarded at the hostel, where 1 more suspect was arrested. Further information led the team to a house in White City in Soweto, where 2 other suspects were found. Police spokesperson Ethlenda Mate says this was the second kidnapping victim who was rescued in Soweto this week.
We are applauding our members for always ensuring a well-coordinated and executed takedown operation that will ensure victims' lives are not compromised and are found alive. Our dedicated teams remain relentless in their pursuit to ensure they rescue victims. From January to date, 13 businessmen and at least 6 students have been rescued and no ransom payments have been made.
A 19-year-old suspect charged with allegedly assaulting his grandmother is expected to appear at the Kells River Magistrates Court in Cape Town this morning. A video of the incident has gone viral on social media, leading to his arrest. Police spokesperson Andre Trout says investigations suggest that the incident occurred last month at the victim's home. He says the victim declined to give a statement and the family refused police assistance. Trout says the severity of the matter has sparked the SAPS to intervene by opening a case docket on behalf of the victim. Friends and family have gathered to bid their final goodbyes to yet another GBV victim in Bloemfontein. 35-year-old Bongiwepu Lampa, who was stabbed to death allegedly by her boyfriend 2 weeks ago. The funeral service is underway at Vulamasango High School. She was stabbed multiple times when she returned from attending a church service. The incident happened at a family home where she reportedly lived with a 39-year-old boyfriend who has since been arrested. 2 men have died in a car crash in Hillcrest, northwest of Durban. It left them entrapped after a vehicle drove into the side of the vehicle at a crossing. Paramedic spokesperson Gareth Jameson says the crash took place earlier this morning on the corner of Inanda and West Riding Road. He says the driver of the second vehicle only sustained moderate injuries.
2 men in a small SUV were found to be severely entrapped and paramedics immediately assessed them. However, both men, believed to be in their 30s and 40s years of age, had sustained major injuries and there was nothing paramedics could do for them, and they were declared deceased at the scene. The second driver had sustained moderate injuries and was stabilized on scene by advanced life support paramedics before being rushed to a nearby hospital for the urgent care that he required.
28 suspected illegal miners have been arrested in various parts of Limpopo. Police spokesperson Malisela Lidwaba says they were arrested for illegally mining chrome and sand. They will also be charged with contravention of the Immigration Act. Lidwaba says they also confiscated mining equipment.
At Ramaroga Village, Driko policing area in Sekhukhune district, the teams managed to arrest 12 suspects for illegal mining and for being in the country illegally, and their ages ranges between 18 and 39. The other 2 South Africans were also arrested for illegal mining of chrome. At Saselemani policing area in Vembe district, 14 suspects were arrested for illegal sand mining. The teams also managed to confiscate various mining equipment.
Further afield, and finally, the outgoing Prime Minister and Conservative leader Rishi Sunak called Britain's general elections result sobering and says he takes personal responsibility for the defeat. This after the Labour Party won the majority seats in the country's general elections. Liz Truss, a former Prime Minister, also lost a seat. She explains what could have been the party's weaknesses.
I think the issue we've faced as Conservatives is we haven't delivered sufficiently on the policies people want. And that means keeping taxes low, but also particularly on reducing immigration.
Recapping the top story, an intelligence-driven operation led by the Police Special Task Force Unit have rescued a second Portuguese businessman, this time from the Nansfield hostel in Soweto, where he was being held captive. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Hello everybody, Winter M over here. Very excited to be on the biggest show on television. Deal or No Deal Celebrity, coming to you every Saturday, 6 p.m. on SABC 1.
11 Southern African football outfits and a guest nation from the East, Kenya, are summoned to the battlefield for the 23rd edition of the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup 2024. 12 nations are on a dramatic search for the ultimate regional glory in Gqeberha, Mzansi's Eastern Cape Province. Experience the COSAFA Cup action from 26 June to 7 July. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday. The Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
Nenda sibive mukororo wabambezi bangona bavenda uva marunguzi usuka kala mapungu, yeah. Kingdoms of iron and gold, where anything and everything we touch when sold. The real city of gold with farming and agriculture in the centerfold. I'm thinking about the days of old, the lost city of gold. Sierra Alda bangona bachibusalora, locha huchirira para para. Uswa butete goroyi gusinandara, gold, cattle and ivory. Not forgetting the education and chivalry. I'm the black rhinoceros of the kingdom of Mapungu, yeah. Chuguru, chiduru, chihuru, chabambezi bafumbi bavenda mongona.
Nabaporo, bangona woteba la venda rupunguru. Nabaporo, rafere chikunda wechi, iwe ngwandi wapa. Nabaporo, shiriya tenga mafungure,
Vera nepa, no vaporo, ababiguana eve. Vera only vaporora. Why you wait? Vera only vaporora. Baba singing a vaporora. Dada uba vaporora.
From the 12s to the 1600s, bossing the trade, cattles and goats, running the fleets of more than 1600s. The first state of the south that let the world know what trading's about. Mapungu, yeah, the stronghold, withstanding malaria and the tons of flies. To cultivate food, love, and poetry. If it was here today, I would rejoice. Bitomalazi, mutini na ngwari na manashi. Mumbeti tafenda mufumbi wa marunguzi. Nengwe nani, munisi wa mvura, shakala rubimbi. Bada ubani abale na batabatsindi ndisa hangwe batwamamba bagoni barubo ubani ya no shikaruvubu bungwani wabo since 400 AD 400 AD
Nabaporo bangona boteba na venda rukungulu Nabaporo rafere shikunda wechi iwe ngwandi wapo Nabaporo shiria tenga mapungube Tavera nepa Nabaporo abiguana e Oh yeah yeah Nabaporo bangona boteba na venda rukungulu Nabaporo rafere shikunda wechi iwe ngwandi wapo Nabaporo shiria tenga mapungube Tavera nepa Nabaporo abiguana e Vele oli vaporo
Mapungubwe featuring Charmaine King there. I'm sitting alongside Tizwi Hangwi Nemashi. He's a musician, poet, journalist, and hip-hop artist. Dimasiare.
Ndi macheroni abudi bakete.
Oh, is it still macheroni? Is it not mascara yet? Okay. The macheroni. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. And yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the show.
To the listeners.
Yes, welcome to the Friday Wind Down. Tell us more about that song.
Mapungubia is a song that is from my fourth studio album, which was produced and released last year. And it was basically something that I and Charmaine, who is from Makado, district municipality in Limpopo, we sat and thought, we need to do something for our heritage and our culture and our people that will represent Bango and Abavenda. To talk about something which is hardly spoken about, which is the history of Mapungubwe and Baba Bangona's role in it. As Mungona myself, as Mbezi, I was like, let's do something like that. And when we came up with the song, we had to do a little bit of research to, just a bit of history as to the people who lived there, who are they, what did they do, what was Mapungubwe well known for. And that was the first single we did, myself and Charmaine, and it won Best Hip Hop Music Video for the Eminent Video Music Awards last year. So, now we're here, Mapungubwe. It's actually probably my favorite song of all of my songs.
One can hear the amount of sort of history and research that went into it. Was that easy for you to do? Because you part of your life is also working as a journalist. So the curiosity is obviously there. The research obviously would be something that almost comes naturally.
It was not easy because now you have to reach out to certain people to get some information, verify some information. There's some online, but everyone comes with their side of the story. So you want to look at which one is more, consistent, more believable, and then you call people back in Limpopo. You research, you go on Google, you check on some of the, legitimate websites as to the information. But it was fun because, like you said, as a journalist, you're actually looking for information. So as a journalist and a rapper, you're basically a librarian. So you're a knowledge seeker. So it was fun. It took time, but it was fun.
Let's talk about hip hop, rap as a genre of music, as a choice of genre for you. Where did it begin?
Well, I started listening to hip hop when I was like 12, 13 because of MC Hammer.
MC Hammer,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that was actually the first hip hop artist I heard, and was like, yo, that was like, I was actually visiting my maternal relatives that is in Sebetiela in Mokopane, at my grandmother's village in Takano. They were playing Can't Touch This by MC Hammer and Too Legit to Quit.
Can't touch this.
I was a bit young, but I was like, no, this is the sound I like. Because at home, moms and pops were music people, right? They would play music, they'd play your Dolly Partons, your Tracy Chapmans and whatnot. But I was like, I'm more into this kind of, lyric delivery, rapping, not singing. So since then, and then I had to listen for a few years to get the kind of artist that I really like, admire or inspires me, and that was Tupac, because of what was happening then through life. You're going through family issues and stuff, and I was like, okay, this guy speaks to some of the issues. I can relate to his music.
Could resonate, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where hip hop started, and then went to university. It just got worse. When I got to varsity, I was like a hip hop DJ for a campus radio station there. And that's where it really went into overdrive.
And what's interesting to me about that is that often hip hop and rap is associated with your more urban centers, right? If you're talking about rural areas, yes, there'll be one or two bomorepaman, but it's not sort of the dominant genre of music that young people are listening to.
That is because hip hop is always seen as, American music, or music which originated in America. It's always seen as English and American beats. When actually, if you look at rapping really started in Africa. If you look at Imbongi, when they're doing praise singing, what are they doing? They're not singing, they're rapping. That's rap.
Okay, I've never thought about it in that way.
So how long have Africans been doing praise singing? Because it's poetry delivered in a rap form. The lyrics are not being sung. We just call it praise singing because that's what us Africans do. We just, lump it up in all in one and we say it, but they're actually rapping. So what the Americans did was they tapped into their innate Africanness, and they were like, oh, this is what can keep us going, this is what can motivate us. And music, it's something that is an outlet for someone to either let off steam or to learn something or to do whatever. So just like the blues, then came hip hop. So I understand the fact that most people might not be listening to rap. I think it's an issue that it's associated with American hip hop. It's probably also associated with vulgar language, and people just cannot relate to the hip hop that people make in South Africa.
Okay.
Because of language, sound, topic, which is why my hip hop is different.
We're going to continue with this conversation in a moment. Tizwi Hangwi is our guest this morning on the Friday Wind Down. We're going to take a quick break. More of him and, of course, his music when we continue.
The world's best cooking show is coming to S3. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, Noma Uphumapi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Starts Saturday 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on S3, Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
The Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
badimo ba dumetse re na le wena re kopane etsa lerato ke tsa batho ba pedi tla ratane ke gona ya pelo moya le tsotlhe tse ke nna tsona ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato
hey rufuno rupano ahuna sarungano ndi umupa muano songo wara tenda rina pfano nyandano so will love be a beautiful thing to those who hate a beautiful sin ngoma zvipa huna badzimu botenda na bomakazi bakumurenda looking japa you've been dropping mwenda queen of my throne chanda chakosi safenda chisima cha buchiro ndikotenda ndemufuna azifuna nabo makuru bazifuna sorry tibi wanganye ngachine ahuna bafio bare una mini ahuna it's a beautiful thing that you came into my life and made a better change it's a beautiful thing that you came into my life and made a better change
badimo ba dumetse re na le wena re kopane etsa lerato ke tsa batho ba pedi tla ratane ke gona ya pelo moya le tsotlhe tse ke nna tsona ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato ka wena ke
see the change, like a teller, I can see the change. Rock the coupe, then I rock the range. Something new, thought I cut and change, but I don't. Chop and change. Little funo rabo kuma, we don't switch change. Rufuno ruko hanya, rufuno ni ufana, ufarana na ufesa sana. Tibone butama, nenga ene ndi dirakana. King Kong, ndirakana, bangaringa bazama, bono linga zopara, ndi maringa apara, ndi chichena ngaumara, na bakara badi taru parada, safenda ukumara, never thought that I would see the day, no Stevie Wonder, now I see the day, and our love is in a better place, no showing off, it's in a better place, and our love is in a better place, no showing off, it's in a better place.
Badimo ba dumetse re na le wena re kopane etsa lerato ke tsa batho ba pedi tla ratane ke gona ya pelo moya le tsotlhe tse ke nna tsona ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato ka wena ke marato
SAFM, playing the music you want to hear.
Hi, Cathy. Good morning. My name is Calvin from Benoni. For the first time in ages that I felt the ownership of your program when my home song is played. Thank you so much.
Greetings, Mom Cathy. Greetings to Tizwi Lapo. It's my very first time hearing his stuff. I'm definitely going to start following him and look deep into his repertoire. But what I wanted to say is that I truly appreciate his grasp and articulation of the Africanity, the innate Africanness within hip-hop. Well done, my brother. I appreciate that we still have young people, I'm a young person myself, who are in touch with African reality, African history, and African legacy. Zoleto speaks.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
All right, thank you for those WhatsApp voice notes that you've already started sending through. Absolutely, Tizwe Hangwi is educating us somewhat as well this morning on the Friday Winder. And yes, he is our very first hip-hop/rap artist on the show in this particular segment. So I guess also a bit of a special one for us. So, Tizwe, you are raised in Soshanguve.
Yep.
And it probably explains your multilingualism.
Yep. So to Shangani Ngunivenda, that's Soshanguve for you. So I was born and raised in the city of Tshwane, Soshanguve, though both my parents are from Limpopo. My mom's from Sebetiela, like I said. That is home. My pops is from Zimauli. That is the far north side of Bembe district municipality in the Mutare district municipality. But I was raised in a place where, all languages are in one place. You go to Soshanguve, there is, a primary school, a high school where they teach Chivenda, so that was easy for me. Go back home, Riamba Chivenda, and it was important, I think, for my parents, for me to know and learn and understand the home language and my culture. And I just took it upon myself when I grew up that, I want to do something that will say me. That is not going to say anyone else when I go out there to do rap music. Like rap is basically rhythm and poetry. So I wanted people to know Zafenda as a rhythm and poetry artist from South Africa and from Africa just by listening to the sound, the language, and the topic that I'm talking about in the music.
It is quite something you can speak a language, right? But to be able to write in that language means that you've got to have a strong grasp of it, and I think that then being able to write in Chivenda, to be able to write in Setswana, that's what I'm getting to.
It's difficult. Like it's not easy, but I went to a Chivenda primary school, I went to a Chivenda high school, and then after that, I just kept on collecting books.
Okay.
That's one thing.
So when you say Chivenda as the first language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to a public school. So one thing that my father taught me, Reverend Emanash, was read. I think I was like 11, 12 when he used to give me, every time he'll read a newspaper, he'll pass it over to me. After he's done reading the newspaper, he's like, Kabadi, read, Kabadi, read. That's one thing that the old man always said, read. And then I got into reading a lot. So much that I had a library card at that age, and I'll just go to the library and grab, Western books like, cowboys and stuff, and I'll be reading stories about cowboys and seeing them in my head. And then when I grew older, I was like, I need to actually start reading more books, Zachivenda, about my culture, my language, just to learn the language, and so I'll be able to speak it in a way that is proper. So it comes in handy if you read a lot, especially with rap music, because if you're rapping and you don't really have information, it's going to be tricky. You're going to end up rapping about the same thing all the time.
Also, you need the words, right? Because
yes, the vocabulary.
Sometimes you're trying to fit in a line in a rhythm and it's not working out. So you need to be able to find other words.
Yes, that means the same thing, but
Yes.
that sounds different because the thing about rapping is it's literature in song. So you need your figures of speech to be able to fit in, to be able to rhyme. You need your syllables to be able to make sense at the end of the sentence. You need your inside rhyme schemes to be able to make sense. If you can't find a word that makes sense, you need to find an alternative word in the same language to say, okay, right, Apanoni, I'll say this. Apanoni, so. And then you put it together, it's a song. It's writing a rap song is not easy.
So impressive, Tizwe. So impressive.
Thank you.
It's 11:30. We're going to continue the conversation with Tizwe Hangwi Namashi. He's a poet, artist, hip-hop artist on the Friday Wind Down.
For the headlines at 11:30, I am Dineo Motaung. Good morning. 19-year-old Luvo Chaza, accused of allegedly assaulting his grandmother in Wallisedine near Kraaifontein last month, has appeared briefly in the Gales River Magistrates Court on 2 charges. In other news, an intelligence-driven operation led by the Police Special Task Force unit have rescued a second Portuguese businessman, this time from the Mansfield Hostel in Soweto, where he was being held captive. And the outgoing Prime Minister and Conservative leader Rishi Sunak called Britain's general elections result sobering and says he takes personal responsibility for the defeat. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We continue the conversation on The Talking Point. It is the Friday wind down, and today we're exploring a new genre of, well, it's not new to everybody else, but it's just on this particular slot.
Yeah.
We're taking a different venture. We're going into rap and hip-hop, and Tizwi Hangwi Namashi is our artist of the day. And he's a rap artist, but what is unique to him, of course, is that he does a lot of his music, if not all of his music, in vernacular, and he's got quite a strong command of multiple languages,
Yep.
vernacular languages of South Africa. I imagine, Tizwi, that there's a lot of pressure within the industry to conform, especially rap. I mean, I see you're wearing your LA, baseball cap, and it's about the vibe. So it's very easy for that to also be the expectation of what you put into your music.
Yeah.
You know, that it must sound like this. It must also be in English and follow the trend of what is happening elsewhere in the world. How have you dealt with that over the years to also define your sound to be what it is?
I guess this just in me as an individual, because I've never been the one to follow trends as a person, as an individual. Even if you go to social media, they'll tell you, Tafenda is going to go that direction when everybody's going the other direction. So I've always wanted to be me. I've always wanted to be separate from the crowd. I've always wanted to stand out. So for me to stand out, I need to stand out and be outstanding at the same time. So if you follow trends, the problem is somebody's already doing it. That's number one. You're not creating anything new. So you can't blaze a trail. With my music, I'm trying to create a lane where you can still do rap music the African way. You can still do hip-hop the African way that can appeal to African people. That can appeal to the people overseas in a sense that it's authentic. They'll be like, yeah, we can see he's rapping, but which language is that? What attire is he wearing? Because usually I change my dress code. This is my clothing label. I just didn't want to wear everything Wolf by Dr. Stress, because this is my brand, Wolf by Dr. Stress. So I figured, let me rock an LA cap, because I grew up on LA hip hop, West Coast hip hop, So I like to do something different, and so that I can, offer something that is not already in the market. It's like being a retail store, or if you're a food store, let's say fast food outlet. If you really want to break into a market and you're doing it by yourself, the chances of you doing that while copying somebody else is difficult. Because one, you're always going to come up second to an original. You see, so I've always wanted to do something that is not being done by another person in terms of my sound, my topics, how I deliver them, how I rap, the languages, and in a sense that it stands out to the people to say, you don't have to ask if he's from South Africa or not. You see, you hear. Yeah, so I've always had a chip on my shoulder to say, nah, I'm gonna do me, you do you. I'll do myself all the time.
Where do you find time to do music? Because you do so much else.
The beautiful thing about being, this is what one of my fellow artists calls me. She says I'm a nerd. Is that everything you try to do it on time. You try to, to departmentalize your time and put it in certain ways to say, okay, right, this is what I'm going to be doing. So, okay, right, I've got 8 hours that I know I must give to my employer, right? That's out of my 24. I don't sleep much. I sleep 6 hours, 8 hours if I'm really tired. But another thing is that with the information that I soak up every day, it's easy for me to write songs. I go into the studio with my producer, that is Killertone SA. I can record 6 songs in 4 hours. I don't really need a lot of time to record music. I need even lesser time to write songs. I take like 5 to 10 minutes just to write a song. To curate it, that's another 10 minutes. So that's 20 minutes just to write a song. So I can sit here with you and be done with like 3 songs in an hour.
And to then be able to go out and promote the music and take it to different parts of the country and make sure that people are aware of your music and what you're getting up to. What has been your experience in that regard?
I've been on the road since last year, and the reception has been great. Limpopo is obvious because so they're going to love it. But the response that I've received mostly was, your hip hop is unique. Your hip hop is African. Those are the responses I got when I went to perform in Musina. Those are the responses that I got, when I went to perform in Klerksdorp, Matlosana, when I went to, Breads to perform. I was performing in Breads, I think it was 2 weeks back, in a place called Ditlhabile. They were like, Aru Turware, Mar, Ndati, Ow, Mino Manati. You see, so, and also online, I get to, I post my performances and people get to comment and be like, Zafenda, this is what we want to hear from South African and African hip hop. So it's something fresh. It's not easy the first time you hear it because you're like, okay, what is this? Because if you listen to Mapungu, you're thinking, okay, drums, okay, there's a snare there, there's, percussions there. Those, you're getting all the African instruments in the beat, right? Whereas in normal hip-hop, you're going to get, the kicks and the snares and typical, American sound. So people have been very positive. Like wherever I went to perform with my team, everybody's been asking, when are you coming back? When are you coming back?
We got a call from a listener about, I think it must have been sometime in the last 2 weeks, and he was complaining about the representativity of Chivenda speaking people in the arts, and said, but it was more on television and just how there isn't enough programming and actors that are Chivenda speaking. And you being somebody who also is a Chivenda speaker, first language Chivenda speaker, and doing music, especially a niche genre like rap and hip hop, and doing that in Chivenda, is that something that you are mindful and overly aware of, that yes, I'm doing this, but part of why I am doing this in this language is also because of a recognition that you just will not find Chivenda artists by and large in what is considered mainstream arts?
That is true. That is 100% true. Which is why I made it the point that I told myself that I know music is difficult. Like there is nothing as difficult as trying to make music a professional career. It's tough. But when I went into it, I knew. I was like, you know what? I need to do it for those 2 reasons. One is that one that you just mentioned now. 2 was to extend the lifespan of hip-hop music. It must not be a stereotype that hip-hop music is only for the youth. My music gets listened to by grannies at 65. My music gets listened to by young people at 5 years old. My niece can sing Kokota Malome. She's only like 6, right? She can rap to it, right? I try to accommodate everyone. But The issue of language and, being a minority and not getting out there as well, it's twofold. One is because, right, the artists probably don't get enough exposure and platforms. Two, it's also because if you are pushing a product that is not appealing to the larger spectrum of people, either by sound or words or whatever it is you're putting into the music, it's going to be difficult for people to play your music. So it's a responsibility for both, for the artist to make sure that the quality of their music, because I can tell you, there are many rap and hip hop artists in Bambi, Limpopo, many. But they're making the same music that everyone is making, except Ngachivenda. They're using, American sound to put their raps in. It becomes a bit difficult. Already Chivenda is a tough language, that I know. Because one is a minority language, two, Chivenda is just tough. You need to eat a banana before you speak Chivenda. You know what I mean? So it's really both ways. So which is why when I started doing the music, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do my music so well that a person who is in the Eastern Cape in Mthatha, who speaks Xhosa, can listen to my music and be like, I like this guy, it's a friend. I don't understand what he's saying, but I like his music. Someone in Taung, someone in Nkomasi listens to Tsafenda. Someone in Angola, Namibia, and someone in I have people who are following me from Europe, especially. Like my top 5 countries are, one is South Africa, the other 4 is European countries.
Wow.
Right. So
aren't you amazed by that?
If I give you an honest answer, they'll say, he's feeling himself. But I'm not. I'll tell you why. People overseas, they are always thirsty for something which is authentic and unique. So that I'm not surprised because of that reason. They're always willing to try something new, something they don't know, they don't understand.
Fair enough.
You see? So they're open to something different. You see? So it makes it, interesting to them to listen. They're like, okay, he's from South Africa. What sound is this? That is why piano is so big internationally. Piano is big for one simple reason. It's authentically South African.
Our Friday wind down guest, Tizwi Hangwi Nemashi, and he is a hip hop rap artist. We've got quite Stress. I must call him Stress.
Yeah, no. My rap artist is Tafenda. Stress is the CEO of Wolf by Dr. Stress, the clothing label. So,
okay.
Yeah.
We're going to continue the conversation. I've got quite a number of voice notes that have come through for you, Tizwi. I think let's play maybe a couple of these WhatsApp voice notes. Maybe 3. Let's play 3 voice notes, and then because I still want to play more music too.
Yeah.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hi, this is Cathy. What a beautiful music you guys are having and a beautiful conversation. And this is so rare, man. I'm telling you just now, it's my first time hearing the music and the guy. And I just downloaded both songs that he just played. And I'm looking forward to get more of his music because it's so refreshing. So refreshing and so unique. Big up to you, brother. May God keep you and raise you up. God bless you, Gwen.
Good morning, Cathy, to you, the team, and Tsafenda in studio. Great show as always. I just want to give a big shout out to Tsafenda for preserving his mother tongue through hip-hop music. It's very rare to see young people, especially in this genre of hip-hop, rapping in their own mother tongue. Yes, it's difficult and it's challenging to write in your own mother tongue, but big ups to Tsafenda for doing so and pushing the Venda language and putting it on a new platform. Thanks. Ronald in Joburg.
Hey, good morning, SAFM. Mike here, truck driver. I'm so impressed about the guy there. Hey, homeboy, very many feeds. Bashino Zawudi, man. Kutakala music wao, ndaunduna.
All right. So we're going to go to Ngongo.
Ooh.
Tell us about Ngongo.
Ngongo is a song that I've done with this brother of mine from Angola. His name is Kashela Kachangano. He's based out there in Velkom right now. Ngongo simply means it takes time and you need to follow a step or a process to build a house. Don't expect to build a castle in one day. Step by step is Ngongo. It's Chinyemba, which is an Angolan language. So that's basically what we're talking about, that be patient, take your time. When you're building your house, you need to start with the foundation, the walls, the windows and the doors, and then the roof, and then the rest will follow. Ngongo.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down.
Watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, iya watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, kala chuma jakala na ola yacho, litangwa lya ngongo ngongo ngongo, litangwa lya ngongo ngongo ngongo, watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, kala chuma chakala na ola yacho, ola yacho, watunga limboli na mwangu ngongo ngongo.
Nichidina ngachidina, disemende ngasemende, dirupeto ngarupeto, dichitanga ngachitanga, dichombere ngachombere, sarutwima nipatere, ndikuchumere kwa ndere, ni matata urita pere, sezanira nizuchere, samusika nirochere, ngongo kwa nisikhere, samuswimi nitevere, samu baby nirabere, zichikonda nipatere, ndalaponda na mabere, zichikonda nitevere, zichikoka nitevere, zichikoka nitevere.
Iya watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, kala chuma jakala na ola yacho, litangwa lya ngongo ngongo ngongo, litangwa lya ngongo ngongo ngongo, watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, kala chuma jakala na ola yacho, watunga limboli na mwangu
Dirupendo rurafu, rudone visa na tafu, rudoda miru indafu, sa Apollo man, rudoda ito lirafu, veteri mani mavu, diri imani batu, ni diri zere batu, kanani ambare batu, ani shumeri batu, sanganga ya tepu, ka ani shumeri batu, so uzwi mani ka anungandara, ani ederi batu, nido swika na katu, Kere mangaru mwembe bana, sondere, shuma ni batu.
Iya watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, kala chuma jakala na ola yacho, litangwa lya ngongo ngongo ngongo, litangwa lya ngongo ngongo ngongo, watunga limbonje nilitangwa lya ngungu, kala chuma chakala na ola yacho, ola yacho, watunga limboli na mwangu ngongo ngongo.
Oh, Ngongo.
Ngongo.
Okay, number one. It sounds exotic, you know. Ungati, it's been exported from somewhere.
Yeah.
But also, it does sound, you know, and I hope that that's not too, I don't know, what was I going to say? I hope that's not too bottlesy, but it just, it really just sounds like, oh, this is, when you talk about being an African artist and wanting that to be expressed in your music, Ngongo is a perfect example of that, I think, including a song like Mapungube. Yes, it really fully comes alive.
It really resonates with the sound and culture of being
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely. So now you said that the song is Chivenda and
Chinyemba.
and what is it? Chinyemba.
Chinyemba. Yeah. So
which
so
is
in
a
Nyemba they'll say
language
Kanyemba.
from Angola.
Angola, yes.
Chinyemba.
Yeah.
But now I'm not hearing the difference. and I grew up in Limpopo, so I can hear Chivenda when it's been spoken. I can't pick up the difference between Chivenda and Chinyemba.
Yeah. One thing that I've realized with African languages, especially of us black people, is that they all related somehow. They all sound the same or they mean the same thing. That is why you're going to have to Sesotho, Sepedi, Setswana, which are all Sotho languages and the Nguni languages as well. So, for example, there's a song that I did with another Angolan brother of mine. It's called Kanyemba. We're just basically talking about being who we are, Bavenda, the Nyemba people, the Zulu people. It's three of us. It's MD, which is representing Chinyemba. There's a line where he says, Vana vange bavali, Vana vange banaba kababidi, Vana vange bavali. So kaspiri ke vana va kababidi. Kastswana vana vake babidi. Ngachivenda vana vanga babidi. See, it all means the same thing. My two children.
So does that mean that when you get together with your other friends from different parts of the continent, and Angola in this instance, and they're speaking Chinyemba,
I can hear some.
And you, that's what I was going to say. That you don't need you don't need translations.
Nah. They just look at me and they see me smiling. And they're like, okay, we can't really like gossip about him. So and soon we'll be going to Angola, Namibia. We'll be hitting the SADC region. That's Tsafenda, Kashela Kachangano, Charmaine King, T-Squared.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So much coming up on the horizon. I must say, our listeners also really enjoying your music. We're going to take a quick break.
Thanks for the voice notes. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm going to play you more. There are plenty more lined up. We won't even get to all of them. So let's take a quick break, come back with some voice notes, and maybe I will be able to do one more song before we say goodbye to
if we're doing that one more song, let it be Mukororo, ne?
Mukoloro,
yeah,
yes,
that's my
it's
latest
down
song
here
from
with Charmaine King and Buffalo.
It's from my latest album released on June 20. It's a self-titled album. It's called Offender. It's got Ngongo, it's got Mukororo, it's got Pitoria Manyora. That's us on the streets in Sosha, if you want to hear some of that.
Okay, we're going to get to it, not right now. Right now is a break and then more when we continue.
In the heart of darkness, a beacon of light emerges. A brand new season is coming your way with your 2024 Miss South Africa Top 30. Hosted by our reigning queen, Miss South Africa, we embark on a transformative journey. Join us for the spectacular new season of Crown Chasers.
Crown Chasers is back.
Starts 29 June at 8:30 p.m. only on S3 Open Up.
EFC is live this Thursday. One of the greatest mixed martial artists of Africa returns to the World Sports Betting Arena. Iga Smiley Kabesa has cemented his legacy in the record books as the Continental GOAT. Now he puts his lightweight title on the line against Humphrey King Cobra Malenga. EFC 115 live this Thursday. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel and DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
SAFM, I know I'm excited. One last question. Cathy, please ask TC Hangwe. Now I hear he calls himself Stafenda or something like that. He used to call himself Stress. What changed? What made him to change that?
This one knows me.
I'm going to sit in the car and hear the response to that. Thank you.
I want you to answer before we go to the other voice notes. Why are you not Stress anymore?
Dr. Stress was really a hip-hop DJ name, which is why I needed to separate the hip-hop DJ from the hip-hop artist. So I've even back in the day when I was still rapping in university, I used to use in the ciphers. Everybody knows me from rapping in Sosha and Pretoria. They'll tell you, every time I go to a cipher, I'm Tsafenda. Dr. Stress is a hip-hop DJ, is a clothing label designer.
I feel like I'm not in the circle.
It's like Slim Shady and Eminem.
What's a cipher?
Machiavellian Tupac.
What's a cipher?
A cipher is where usually rappers converge. It's like a church. It's like a congregation, right? Where rappers converge to test their lyrical skills. Like it's a battle. It's like a gladiator type of thing, like in Pompeii. You see Pompeii, how they're fighting?
Yeah.
That's how rappers do. We get into a circle. We get, you do a one-on-one and see who's got the best lyrics.
Like where you do battles.
Yeah, we're
and
battling.
also-
It's
wow.
battles. That's a cipher.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we've been doing that forever.
You see,
in
we should
Pretoria.
have more hip hop artists on here so that I can increase my cool kid ratings. Clearly, I'm working on a deficit right now.
Morning, SAFM. This is Keshi here from the Western Cape. Wow. I love this guy's music. I don't understand a single word of Venda, but I've got such the feels. Thank you. What a lovely way to end the Friday program. Have a great weekend.
Ay, Cathy. Go, 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 go. Ay. Oh. Lang, go, 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 go. Ah. Ay. Ay. Cathy, this is Nonhlanhla Mqhibo from Frankfurt. This is a song. I'm going to look for it. But I just want to ask this guy, is the photographer or the video taker, isn't that guy who passed on Peace Mqhibo? That's my cousin. I just want to know that. Otherwise the music, I can't wait to see the video.
Hello? Yeah, no. Man. We started the year on a very sad note. Immediately after we shot the video for Mukororo, which is out now on TV and online, the homeboy of mine, she's talking about Peace. Bonkosi Mqhibo. It's a real homeboy of mine. We grew up together in Soshanguve. He was staying in Block G, I was staying in Block L. He was unfortunately fatally shot in somewhere around, I think, Alex or Kensington. Some people called in saying they want to go and shoot a music video. It ended up to be a setup, and then that's what happened to my brother there. So he's no more. Yeah, that's the guy who shot 13 or more 15 music videos that we shot so far. The last video he shot was Mukororo, and it's off the chain. It's a beautiful music video. So that is, and yeah, Kazi, yeah, that's our guy. That's our guy. We're keeping the spirit alive though. We keep pushing. Very good guy, peaceful guy. Peace.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I didn't want to end it on a sad note, but he did some great work. There was no one like him. He's good with this video thing. So rest in peace to my boy.
Okay. We are going to wrap it up with Mukololo. You've got 20 seconds for last minute advert, self-promotion.
Follow me on Instagram, YouTube. All my names are the same. Tsafenda. Tzafenda. The name Tsafenda came from Dimitri Stafenda. You can go and Google who Dimitri Stafenda was. So a little bit of history there. So yeah, just type in Tsafenda on Google, man. I'll appear. And you'll see my YouTube, Spotify, all the other professional channels. My music is all there. From the beginning when I was still messing up the music to now, when the music is great.
You're such a cool guy.
Thank you.
You're not even trying. Okay, we're going to say goodbye. We'll leave it with Mukololo. I'm going to be taking some notes on how to be cool, how to be effortlessly cool from Tizwi Hangwe. Back with you again Monday between 9 and midday.
Chipiri chao chama chabasimi Dimufuma kazi na musimi wato Svalarona Karya waipumu Minang mangota Pengal chola Kolom saba Inisufanera yo Inisufanera mukoro makasi Chiko ya musana yo Ene ukufanele Ufana nembale.
Just believe in the power in you. Wonder woman to tell the truth, the power's in you. The brilliance, resilience, persistence, perseverance. nobody does it better than you. Did a sheep trade since birth, just gotta find it in you. Focus on improving yourself to release incredible you. Stand on your own and stand together in this world. Nothing you can do for a nani. Takina takarani, nalichana zibanga masina hayani. Vasajininga ita zikuru, nalicha usifani, nalicha usifunani. Nalicha usifunani.
Chipiri cha utama cha basi, dimufuma kazi na musimi wato. Sibalarona, karya waipumu. Mina ngongota, hengal chola, golom saba. Yeah, yeah. Inisufanera, yo. Inisufanera mukuru makasi tiko ya musanta yo. Ene ugufanele, yo. Ene ugufanele, ufana nembale.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
It's 3 minutes after 12 on Friday, the 5th of July, 2024. Very warm welcome to Updated Noon here on SAFM. Leading the conversation, I'm Sakina Kamwendo. Coming up in this hour,
I will step down as party leader, not immediately, but once the formal arrangements for selecting my successor are in place. It is important that after 14 years in government, the Conservative Party rebuilds.
outgoing UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has resigned as Conservative Party leader after a catastrophic performance by his party, and angry residents of Pinar outside Mbombela and Mpumalanga have taken the law into their own hands to find missing children. Coming up in sport,
South African women in action later today, semi-finals in COSAFA Cup and Euros, and the Boks prepare for Ireland.
That's John Gericke in the second half of the show with those details. Please share your views with us. 41391 is the SMS line number. You can also write to us via X or Facebook at SABC News_radio or using the hashtag Updated Noon. Alternatively, you could send us a voice note on 082-692-3909. These and more stories coming up on this Friday edition of Updated Noon. First, though, here's the latest news with Dineo Motaung.